on Minister Monday is Robert Montague, as recently assigned Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Minister, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I mean, normally they say when you're a peer and ministers, Monday, it's the highlight of your career. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, let's talk about some of the areas that you now have responsibility for. Let's start with housing. What is Minister Montague's plan for housing? How will you develop that? It's a serious problem for several people.
Well, within the portfolio, we have housing, and under special projects, I also have responsibility for the Prime Minister's 70,000 housing solutions for this term. So the traditional housing is to deal with the land settlements, housing schemes, the squatter removal and upgrading, the infill into thing, and to provide social housing. And then within that is also land is a part of the portfolio, and the whole matter of the divestment of government land, the titling of government land, the mapping, the cadastral mapping, and the whole matter of the e-title, to digitalize the whole process to make it a lot easier on persons who wish to attain or to transfer a title. And on the special projects part of the portfolio is the development of the Vernonfield Airport into a cargo airport, the Gisco Industrial Park, and the 70,000 housing solutions.
Now, when it comes to this issue of a housing solution, where does downtown Kingston come into play? How do you have any intentions of helping to revitalize this area?
Yes, it is front and center because urban renewal is also a part of the traditional housing portfolio. So what we are looking at the ministry is infills, because downtown is already a mature section of the city. But you have lots, empty lots here with derelict housing there, and you try to do infill, which one of the things we are looking at is that most of the housing developments that were undertaken by the government, they always have residues left over, a half acre of land, 2 acres or 3 acres. So one of my priorities is to look at these residues and to build them out. Because you already have roads, you already have water, you already have communications, whether cable or telephone, already there because it's a housing development, but beside it, or in the middle of it, is an empty piece of land.
But people think we need more of those for green spaces, Minister.
No, there is provision for green spaces already, and then you still have that. Now, even on the 70,000, we have already identified more than enough lands for the 70,000 solutions right across the country. What I have asked the ministry to do is to go back over that listing, to remove those that are agricultural, because we would not want to use what is agricultural for housing, and you have marginal lands. So we are going back over the file to remove what is agricultural.
But the elephant is still in the room, Minister. Who can afford the 70,000?
I am very happy that you mentioned that, because it's a full range. Because what we plan to do is not necessarily, is not 70,000 houses, it is 70,000 housing solutions. So there will be land, the provision of housing, land, start a home. So there's a whole spectrum, and as we roll out, you will get to understand it's an all-encompassing project. So on the matter of affordability, for example, you have young persons, you have young professionals, you have persons who just left college and university. We are taking that into consideration, because that is why looking at government land, it gives you the option to play around and to subsidize. Then there is always the NHT. And when you look at private persons doing their own development, the government can come in and purchase within that development and to expand, because we are looking at the person who is challenged economically. We're looking at the new person, the young person just starting, and we're looking at the persons like you who have earning your bonus at CVM and are willing to buy a house. We're not looking to accommodate the second and the third purchaser. We're looking for a person who's going to purchase for the first time.
So on that note, Mr. Bunting has spoken about the issues and the gaps that present opportunities for money laundering within real estate. What sort of reforms, as you enter this new realm of yours, are you looking at to ensure that we do in fact close those gaps when it comes to money laundering in our real estate area?
Well, we are looking at doing some amendments to the Real Estate Act as well as to the Rent Restriction Act, because those are two critical pieces of legislation that has not been amended and which in some ways they hold back persons from investing into housing. So yes, we know that there are gaps, and those gaps are being addressed in the reform process as we do our consultations. We are now, the ministry is at its 5th draft of the amendments for the Real Estate Board. So yes, all of that will be captured. And if you know me very well, and a lot of Jamaicans do, you will know that we not only try to correct for this problem, but we try to anticipate problems in the future, because it takes a while in Jamaica to go through the legislative process. So we are very far advanced, and we hope to, before the end of this calendar year, to have both pieces of legislation amended.
On that same note, to just follow that up, when it comes to both of those acts, what are you doing when it comes to displacement and squatting? How will it address those issues? And there are a lot of Jamaicans who now find themselves confronting the reality of gentrification. So how does that help with those concerns and the reality that we do need housing, and that there are individuals who are places that they really actually should not be?
That is true. But so that is why within the traditional ministry you have the upgrading section, the units that deal with upgrading persons who squat, and how you treat with those Jamaicans that are there. One of the reasons why I'm placed where I am, it is because you have to take a firm position when you're dealing with certain things, because there has to be discipline, there has to be respect for the law, and there has to be respect for the taxpayers' money. So you have a lot of persons who have a habit of just running onto government land and expect to get it for nothing. Where this government and this minister is concerned, ain't nothing free. So the taxpayers bought the land has to be paid for by somebody, because there is need for vaccines, there's need for more schools, there's need for tablets. So government doesn't have a big bag of money somewhere you just go and dip and take. So if we spend money to upgrade an area because persons have squatted and their sanitation and living conditions are not good and it has to be upgraded, somebody has to pay. Even if you don't pay the full economic price, something has to, there must be some exchange. And that is why now, once you have paid for something, you will value it, you will maintain it, you will pay your property tax, you will form an association and help to clean the drains and bush the bank and beautify your community, because you have pride in a community, because you spent money in a community. At the same time, this government is mindful that you have Jamaicans who are challenged economically to make that. So we will find creative ways of renting and leasing until you can pay. But there must be something to signal that it's not a freeness. Right. And also, one of the things we are pushing is the whole matter of land titling. Approximately 40% of the lands in Jamaica are untitled. The government is guilty of that. And we are moving in the ministry to ensure that every square inch of Jamaica is titled, so that we can accurately assume at the beginning of the year what is the take from property taxes, so that we can buy the garbage trucks that we need, that people complain that there's no garbage collection. We can pay for the street lights that people need, and we can deal with the fire service, because everything has a cost and we have to balance it out.
I only have a minute left, and I wanted to get a comment from you on what's happening with Vernon Field. We've been hearing about this development since I was aboard.
The Vernon Field project is now with the DBJ, because we are bringing the package together for divestment. Then we will go public and invite persons to come in and invest.
What about the
GISCO Industrial Park? We are working with our Chinese partner, and they are putting a package together. The minister before me had engaged the Chinese in a number of discussions. I'm no stranger to them, because I had to deal with them on the mining side. So we will be coming back to the country once we are completed with those, because within that industrial park...
It's a $3 billion U.S. development.
Yes, it is.
And it's also going to be in Nain, St. Elizabeth, 60,000 jobs. Final question to you concerning the issue of the Jamaica Logistics Hub Initiative. Realistically, how much is this going to put a burr in the bonnet for neighbors to the north who've been complaining about Chinese influence?
We only have 20 seconds left.
20 seconds, I'm afraid.
Well, I am here to develop the park. I am not the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am here to ensure that Jamaicans get jobs. I am here to say that persons who have land get land. My job that I have been assigned is to look about housing, to look about titling, and to bring these special projects to fruition so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity.
Thank you very much, Minister Montague, the Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation.